Hi, this is Shu with a review of the Giannis Immortality 3. It's the third budget shoe for Giannis Antetokounmpo. 1-2 was a pretty big hit. If you see a lot of players, at least in Korea, a lot of great players prefer to rock in the Immortalities. So that pretty much sums up how good the shoe is compared to other signature shoes that are out there for these players who could afford any kind of shoe to go with this budget shoe. So the price point is pretty low, under $100 as usual. The design is a little bit more improved. It seems like closer to the main Giannis models with this huge reverse swoosh. 1 and 2 had a similar design, just a little bit different, much simpler, and it seemed to say we're budget. This one does not seem to do that as much. For a size 9.5, it weighs about 350 grams, but it feels a little bit heavier than what the digits show. There's a lot of good padding all around, a good heel lockdown. I don't know why this gel-like substance is all over these the lateral and the medial and heels of the shoe. Taking this out, it could actually improve the weight of the shoe. It could make it lighter if you take all these chunky stuff out. Anyway, good lockdown and everything, and especially the lace loop, they lock and secure your foot nicely. And the upper, there's no crazy loose toe box dead space. There's a little bit of that, but not too much. The lace loops are closer to the toe area and it locks down nicely. The outrigger is the best thing about the shoe. The outrigger is so prominent and it gets the job done in terms of making sure you don't roll your ankle. Great breakage there. The outsole pattern is very similar to the 1s and 2s, except it's got more of that Morse code dot than any type of herringbone traction. It's not too bad. It's comparable. It's Kyrie-like. That's how good it is. Some directions, depending on the flow of the shoe, instead of it being a little bit more zigzag, you might feel a little bit of a sliding, but not too much. You don't get a hard stop in certain motion, but more or less for basketball lateral side-to-side movements, you get good traction there. The fit, I would say you should go up half a size. Unless you like a really tight fit, then you can go true to size. It's not crazy narrow, nor is it too wide. So that's the sizing that I would recommend. The midsole, it says it's got Renew foam, which is a different name for Lunar Lawn. I don't know why they can't say Lunar Lawn anymore. They needed to change it to Renew foam, but yeah, it does not feel like Lunar. If you remember the Lunar Lawns used in the earlier basketball shoe, like the Hyper Gamers from about 10-11 years ago, it says Lunar, but you don't feel jack shit because it just feels like rock hard shoes all around. I don't know what kind of Lunar Lawn was used. If you remember 2008, the Hyper Dunks, they've had Lunar Lawn on the forefoot. Kobe, the original Kobe 4s, it was a, it was like a lottery. Sometimes you get something that's a little bit plusher. Sometimes you feel like there's nothing there. There's the very thin Lunar Lawn that does not seem to be consistent and bottoms out really quick. So for this one, the Lunar Lawn, or what they call it, it feels like there's not much there. The overall cushioning does not feel that much different from the 1s and 2s. In fact, maybe it's nostalgia playing its role a little bit, but 1s and 2 feel a little bit plusher than the Immortality 3. And making matters worse is the insole is a cheap Ortholite-like insole that's very thin and flimsy, so this does not really enhance the cushioning a whole lot. So I would recommend getting a thicker EVA or a PU insole, or even a thicker Ortholite insole to help enhance the cushioning or reinforce the cushioning a little bit. Basically what the cushioning is like is, if you did not try the previous Immortality models, it feels like the Kyrie 2, 3s, and 4s without the zoom, but decent heel compression. That's how it feels like. Forefoot is very minimal. So if you're torn between the Immortality 1, 2s, and 3s, either one is fine, depending on what you prefer. Whatever is cheaper is good. All of them are pretty affordable, but I think one went all the way down to like half price at one point, as if it's not cheap enough already. So personally, I thought 1 was a little bit more impressive than 3s. 2 was similar to the 1s. The 3s, great outrigger, but the traction and the cushioning, not so great. The insole is the worst among the 3.